Namaskar. Like everyone else, I also thought astrology and horoscopes were some kind of fate and destined thing, that life will happen only within those fixed lines. My interaction with Tata and his explanations removed that preconceived notions that I had. I think we should address that first because since the last episode on astrology got published, I've been receiving many messages asking if I can read their horoscope or refer me to a good astrologer. So let's address this first. After my talk with Tata on this subject, I wanted to understand how the practices and sadhana could loosen the grip of horoscope on my life. So I asked him about this. He explained the soul, when it departs at the time of death, usually, if it was a normal death, they move into Pitruloka, the world of ancestors. Here, they wait to be reborn into a womb in Bhuloka, this earth as we know it. Most of them are drawn to the womb by nature of their karma and vasanas, tendencies. Various factors like what kind of desires and wishes they had in their previous birth, what kind of life they lived, and what karma they accumulated, and so on. Based on that, they get drawn to that kind of womb where the parents, the relatives, siblings, family, and social situation would enable that soul to live out its karma and find expression. The time of the birth also decides the expression of these things in their life on earth. Hence, the time of conceiving in the mother's womb becomes important. I interrupted. But Tata, if all this happens by way of vasanas, the tendencies and karma from their previous life, isn't it like these are all already fixed? Then how can one change it after they are born? Tata explained. See, we are only talking about people in general who live and die unconsciously. We are talking of people who have lived a life of unawareness and eventually accumulated karma because of that. But there are people who do yogic and mantra sadhanas who live a life of awareness and die consciously. Such souls will have the ability to wait in Pitruloka and choose what kind of womb they want to be born in and even the time they want to be born. Even they do not have complete free will. They are also subject to various factors like a larger karmic pattern of society and humanity, their guru, the spiritual work on earth, and so on. But here, I am only telling you about general people who are the majority. Tata continued. Once the realization hits a person that he has been born and reborn over and over again on this earth, and each time occupying a new body with new identity of a parent, wife, children, relatives, society, then there is a certain pause. In this pause, the person realizes that he is a soul who has had different bodies with different horoscopes each time, with different identity and life situations. Now, there is a possibility for that person to see for once that this body is transitory and hence the effect of the planets in this life is also transitory and temporary. Seeing that does not mean he is free from it. Even gods, when they took avatars and were born on this planet, had to be subject to various life situations because the cosmic rule is that if you are born out of a human womb, you are subject to karma and planetary effect. That is unavoidable. When can it become avoidable and changeable is when the person detaches his identity with his physical body and sees that as just a temporary abode he has taken up for some time. This process of distancing oneself from his body can happen only through the practice of sadhana. I interrupted his explanation. What kind of sadhana, Tata? I knew my Tata was initiated by Vadagara Sivananda into Brahma Vidya. He was also a Hatha Yogi in his earlier days, which I've heard from others, though I had never seen him do Hatha Yoga. I knew he was also big time into mantra sadhana because of his work involving preparing yantras and talisman for people who came to him. Tata started explaining about sadhana. He said, there are many ways to achieve that detachment from the body. But what I follow and know about is the Ashtanga Yoga, the eight-limbed approach. For those of you who don't know, Ashtanga Yoga comes under Raja Yoga. Sometimes it's also synonymously used with Raja Yoga. It starts with Yama and Niyama, the do's and don'ts, which addresses the basic rules of living life and taking care of the body. Then comes asanas, which involves practicing various physical postures, followed by pranayama, which is breathing practices aimed at achieving mastery over one's prana or the energy body. Then comes pratyahara, which is the withdrawal of senses. Then dharana, concentration, dhyana, meditation, and samadhi, the state of absolute equanimity of body, mind, and prana. Tata continued, with proper guidance of a guru, when one gets into kriyas, which include the asanas, pranayama, and dhyana paths, one starts to experience the gap between his body and himself. Once that gap becomes a living experience, then one gets the freedom to create their own destiny, however they want to craft it. But all this being said, even coming in touch with the Guru and be able to live the path of sadhana needs Prarabdha. I remember my Thatha using this word many times. In Tamil, we used to say, Adukku praptam venum, means it has to be written. So only then it will happen. Now I was confused. What Tata is saying is that sadhana will enable one to free oneself from the clutches of the body and allow a free will and life. But he's also saying that one should have a prarabdha to come in touch with the guru and to be able to do sadhana. I had asked him a few times about this, but his explanations went way over my head at that time. But this time, when I asked about this contradiction, Tata answered, yes, you need to have it in your karma that you will meet your guru and be able to follow sadhana. But when I say praptam, that is not a thing decided by your horoscope, which is of this lifetime, but something which you have earned over lifetimes. Lifetimes of your actions, you wanting to come in touch with your guru, you wanting to practice some sadhana. That is what praptam is. That is also earned by you, only you. And that happens when there is a seeking, a striving, a longing to know and experience something beyond what you have right now. And for the first time, Tata told me to go and get my Nadi Jyotisha done. I did not do this until I was 20 or so, and my Tata was no more by then. Nadi Jyotisha is a palm leaf reading done with one's thumb fingerprint. The reading was all okay for me, but they could not find the palm leaves for me after the age of 24. They made me wait and tried searching, but could not find it. I even jokingly asked them if I would die at the age of 24. They said, no, we have found the leaves for you after 40 years of age, but only 24 to 40 was missing. They seemed puzzled and confused about this. Much later, at the age of 40 is when this whole incident struck me again when I was moving out of the ashram. So the missing leaves were from the years of my life in the ashram. Connecting this to what Tata had spoken about sadhana and astrology, when somebody goes into a complete spiritual path, being initiated by a guru, especially in the path of Kriya, then definitely you become less prone to the influences of your past karma and planetary influence which is on the body. Personally, I can vouch for that from my life experience. The lessening of the influence may be because one becomes less controlled by their physical and psychological compulsions, which are from now and from the past accumulations as well. Of course, you continue to make use of astronomy for your sadhana, like daily tithis, the monthly moon cycle, and the 12-year solar cycle, and so on. So, we are not denying the science of astrology or their influence in our lives, but to ride the waves of planetary influence and time to become a better human being. It is a thin line between blindly following whatever astrology says and taking life and destiny into one's own hands. And those of you who have sent your horoscopes to me asking me to read it for you, and those of you who are asking to get trained in this science, sorry, I'm not the person you're looking for. My 2 month stint with this science 30 years back doesn't even qualify me for this. And above all, my guru has erased all the software and rebooted it. So it's out of my system now. It is not only the cosmic changes which affect our lives, but more importantly, the small things that happen around us. Especially when one wants to grow spiritually, every little thing matters. And how much attention we pay to these little things makes a big difference. These are called as nimitta, roughly translated as omens. An interesting situation happened in this context through which Tata explained this aspect to me. More on this in the next episode. Namaskar.